The galaxy was vast, ancient, and brimming with civilizations that had long ago mastered the art of war, diplomacy, and exploration. For millennia, these empires, federations, and coalitions had played their political games and drawn unspoken lines across the stars. In their eyes, the Milky Way was a stable and predictable place, where power was balanced and nothing truly new ever arose. That was, until humanity stepped into the galactic stage. Humanity had been watched for some time, quietly observed from afar by races more advanced than they could comprehend. The Galactic Accord, a loose alliance of powerful species, had deemed Earth and its inhabitants to be primitive and unworthy of immediate attention. After all, every fledgling species had its time to grow, or to destroy itself, before being introduced to the galactic community. Yet humanity had proven to be unusually resourceful and stubborn, surviving countless self-inflicted crises and somehow thriving despite the odds. The first contact wasn't peaceful. It wasn't an exchange of knowledge or a handshake in the void. It was an invasion. The Vorik Dominion, one of the more ruthless empires within the galaxy, saw humanity as an easy conquest. Their fleets were massive, their technology centuries ahead of Earth's, and their soldiers bred for combat. The Vorik had been searching for a way to expand their territory, and Earth, isolated and unaware of galactic politics, was the perfect target. The Dominion's logic was simple: subjugate the humans, strip Earth of its resources, and use its population as labor. They expected minimal resistance, if any. They were wrong. The Vorik fleet descended on the Sol system with terrifying speed. Massive warships, bristling with weapons, darkened the skies of Earth's colonies on Mars and Luna before they even realized what was happening. Their demands were broadcast in dozens of languages: submit or be annihilated. Humanity's answer came in the form of missiles. It wasn't much, at first. The earliest volleys from Earth's defensive forces were laughably outdated compared to Vorik shields. The Dominion had encountered many species in their expansion, and most folded within hours of their arrival. But humanity had something the Vorik hadn't accounted for: a deep, unrelenting stubbornness and the ability to adapt faster than any species they'd ever encountered. The first weeks of the war were devastating for humanity. Cities on Earth were bombarded, orbital stations were destroyed, and millions died. The Vorik believed the humans would break, but instead, the attacks ignited a fury the likes of which the galaxy had never seen. Nations that had once been rivals came together in a way that defied history. Scientists, engineers, and soldiers worked side by side, pushing Earth's technology to its limits and beyond. Humanity didn't fight conventionally. They couldn't. Instead, they fought like cornered animals, using tactics the Vorik couldn't predict. They turned asteroids into weapons, detonated entire space stations as traps, and used guerrilla tactics that left Vorik fleets scrambling to adapt. For every battle the Vorik won, humanity made them pay in blood and fire. The turning point came 6 months into the invasion. The Vorik flagship, a massive dreadnought called the Unyielding Fury, was stationed in orbit above Earth, coordinating the Dominion's efforts. Humanity, against all odds, managed to infiltrate the ship using a captured Vorik shuttle. A team of human operatives, led by Captain Elena Marquez, boarded the dreadnought with a single mission: disable its command systems and cripple the Vorik fleet. The operation was suicidal. The Vorik were larger, stronger, and faster than humans, but Marquez and her team didn't care. They fought with the ferocity of a species that had nothing left to lose, tearing through the ship's corridors with makeshift weapons and stolen Vorik gear. By the time they reached the command center, half the team was dead, and the ship's alarms were blaring. Marquez's final transmission was short and unforgettable: for Earth. For humanity. Moments later, the Unyielding Fury erupted into a blinding explosion visible from Earth's surface. The destruction of the flagship shattered the Vorik's morale. For the first time in their history, they faced an enemy that didn't just resist. They fought back harder with every blow. The Dominion's fleets began to falter, their commanders hesitant to engage a species that seemed to thrive on impossible odds. Humanity, emboldened by their victory, pushed the Vorik out of the Sol system and pursued them into deep space. Word of humanity's defiance spread quickly. Other species, long oppressed by the Vorik, took notice. They saw the humans as something new, something dangerous, something inspiring. Revolts broke out across Vorik territory, and their empire began to fracture. By the time the Galactic Accord intervened, the Vorik Dominion was a shadow of its former self. The Accord representatives, a delegation of the most advanced and ancient species in the galaxy, arrived on Earth expecting to find a broken world, scarred by war. Instead, they found a united humanity, stronger than ever and unyielding in their resolve. The Accord offered humanity a place among the stars, a chance to join the galactic community and leave the past behind. Humanity accepted, but not without conditions. They demanded that the Vorik leadership face justice, that reparations be made, and that Earth be recognized as a sovereign power, not a backwater to be exploited. The galaxy had learned to fear humanity, not because of their technology or numbers, but because of their spirit. They were a species that refused to bow, that turned tragedy into triumph, and that faced impossible odds with a defiance that burned brighter than any star. In the years that followed, humanity became a force to be reckoned with, not just in warfare but in diplomacy, science, and exploration. They were no longer the upstarts from a forgotten corner of the galaxy. They were a beacon, a reminder that even the smallest spark could ignite a fire that consumed the stars. And the Vorik? They would never forget the day they learned to fear the name humanity. Humanity's rise after the First Contact War wasn't without its challenges. The Vorik Dominion's defeat had left a power vacuum in the galaxy, and in its wake came chaos. Formerly subjugated species broke free, but freedom often led to conflict as old rivalries reignited and ancient grudges resurfaced. The Galactic Accord, though powerful, wasn't equipped to handle such widespread instability. And then there was the matter of humanity itself. For the first time, the galaxy had to deal with a species that was unpredictable, resourceful, and, above all, ambitious. Humanity had entered the galactic stage not as a humbled newcomer but as a species that had fought its way in and earned its seat at the table. This unsettled many of the older species, who were used to the slow, deliberate ways of galactic diplomacy. The Accord extended its formal invitation to humanity at a summit held on Sirius Prime, a shimmering, crystalline world considered neutral ground. Delegates from every major power attended, eager to see these humans who had humbled the Vorik. Humanity's delegation, led by Ambassador Malik Hayes, arrived in a modest ship, Earth's first interstellar diplomatic vessel, the Unity. Its design was sleek and unassuming, but its presence was anything but. The chamber buzzed with tension as Hayes and his team entered. The humans, clad in simple yet dignified uniforms, walked with a confidence that belied their species' recent entry into the galactic arena. Many of the older species regarded them with a mix of curiosity and unease. The Vorik delegation, greatly diminished in number and status, sat in stony silence, their reptilian faces betraying no emotion. Hayes addressed the chamber with a speech that would later be remembered as a turning point in galactic history. "We come not as conquerors, but as equals," he began, his voice calm but firm. "The Vorik taught us that the galaxy is neither kind nor fair. But in defeating them, we learned something about ourselves. Humanity is not a species that seeks to dominate. We do not seek to impose our will. What we seek is respect, sovereignty, and the opportunity to grow among the stars. And to those who would challenge that, well, you already know what we're capable of." The chamber fell silent. Some of the more conservative species bristled at the implicit threat, but others saw in humanity a potential ally. The Kavari Collective, a coalition of aquatic species long oppressed by the Vorik, were among the first to publicly support Earth's membership in the Accord. The Shylon Compact, a race of silicon-based beings fascinated by humanity's ingenuity, followed suit. But it wasn't unanimous. The Vorik, nursing their wounds, lobbied against humanity's inclusion, claiming they were too dangerous, too unpredictable. Several other species, wary of humanity's rapid rise, voiced similar concerns. The debate raged for weeks, but in the end, humanity was granted a provisional seat in the Accord. It was a compromise, one that would allow the galaxy to monitor this new and volatile player while giving humanity the chance to prove itself. It didn't take long for humanity to shake things up. Their engineers began sharing ideas and technology with species eager to collaborate, leading to innovations that revolutionized everything from starship design to medicine. Their diplomats, unbound by the cautious traditions of older species, brokered alliances that had once seemed impossible. And their soldiers, hardened by the brutal lessons of the First Contact War, became some of the most sought-after advisors and trainers in the galaxy. But humanity's rise also drew enemies. The Vorik may have been defeated, but remnants of their fleet had retreated to the fringes of known space, regrouping and biding their time. From the shadows, they launched raids on human colonies and allies, seeking revenge for their humiliation. And then there were the other threats, ancient powers that had slumbered through the millennia, now stirring in response to the chaos humanity had unleashed. One such power was the Krythar swarm, an ancient, hive-minded species long thought extinct. Awakened by the ripples of the Vorik's fall and humanity's rise, they began to spread across the galaxy, consuming everything in their path. The Galactic Accord, unprepared for such a threat, scrambled to mount a defense. Humanity, once again, found itself on the front lines. This time, they weren't fighting alone. The alliances they had forged during their rise came to their aid, and together, they formed an unprecedented coalition to stand against the Krythar. The war against the swarm was unlike anything humanity had faced before. The Krythar were relentless, their ships biological monstrosities that adapted to every tactic and weapon used against them. Entire systems fell as the swarm advanced, and for a time, it seemed as though nothing could stop them. But humanity had learned from its wars. They adapted faster than the Krythar could evolve, deploying experimental weapons and unorthodox strategies that turned the tide of battle. They worked hand in hand with their allies, combining technologies and tactics in ways that had never been attempted before. The final battle took place over the shattered remains of Vorik Prime, the former heart of the Dominion. It was a symbolic choice, humanity and its allies fighting not only to defeat the swarm but to prove that the galaxy could unite against a common enemy. The fighting was brutal, the losses staggering, but in the end, the coalition emerged victorious. As the last remnants of the Krythar burned in the void, Ambassador Hayes transmitted a message to every corner of the galaxy. This victory is not just humanity's. It is a victory for all who stand against tyranny, against extinction, against fear. Let this be the day we remember not what divides us, but what unites us. The day we stood together and proved that even in the darkest times, we can forge a brighter future. The galaxy, scarred but hopeful, took those words to heart. Humanity, once seen as an upstart species, had become a symbol of resilience and unity. They had taught the galaxy to fear them, yes, but more importantly, they had taught it to hope. The galaxy was different now. In the years following the defeat of the Krythar swarm, alliances deepened, old rivalries faded, and the Galactic Accord began to evolve into something stronger. Humanity, once viewed with suspicion, was now a cornerstone of this new galactic era. But peace, as history had taught humanity, was never guaranteed. For all the unity forged in the fires of war, there were cracks beneath the surface. Some species resented humanity's influence, viewing them as disruptors who had upset the delicate balance of galactic power. Others, inspired by humanity's meteoric rise, began pursuing their own agendas, often at the expense of their neighbors. And lurking in the shadows were forces more insidious than any hive mind or empire. Humanity had become a beacon, but with that light came attention. And not all attention was welcome. On the edge of explored space, in a sector known as the Veil, strange signals began to emerge. At first they were dismissed as background noise, cosmic radiation, or echoes from ancient supernovae. But then the signals grew more structured. Patterns emerged too complex to be natural but unlike anything recorded in the vast databases of the Galactic Accord. The Accord's best scientists were baffled. The signals didn't match any known language or encryption method. Some speculated it was a remnant of the Krythar, a final trap left behind by the swarm. Others believed it to be the work of an unknown species, perhaps another rising power. But one fact was undeniable. The signals were spreading, slowly but steadily, across the galaxy. Humanity, with its newfound reputation for facing the unknown, was asked to investigate. The United Earth Alliance assembled a task force, a fleet of ships crewed by the best humanity had to offer. Scientists, diplomats, soldiers, and engineers worked together to prepare for the mission. Their goal simple but daunting: trace the signals to their source and determine their origin. At the heart of the fleet was the Erebus, humanity's most advanced exploratory vessel. Equipped with experimental technology developed from the wreckage of Krythar ships, the Erebus was a symbol of humanity's ingenuity and determination. Its captain, Commander Elias Ward, was a veteran of the Krythar War, a man known for his unorthodox methods and unshakable resolve. The journey to the Veil was long and perilous. The region was a graveyard of ancient stars and shattered worlds, a place where even the most advanced navigational systems struggled to function. The deeper the fleet ventured, the stronger the signals became. But with each step closer, strange phenomena began to occur. Crew members reported vivid dreams, memories they couldn't explain, and a growing sense of unease. Ships experienced power surges and inexplicable system malfunctions. On one occasion, a scout vessel disappeared entirely, its last transmission, a garbled scream, cut short. Despite the mounting tension, Ward pressed on. Humanity had faced worse, he reminded his crew. They had stood against empires and horrors unimaginable, and they would stand again. Finally, after weeks of travel, the fleet reached the source of the signals, a massive structure floating in the void. It was unlike anything they had ever seen, a sprawling web of black and gold, its surfaces shifting and shimmering as if alive. The structure defied explanation, its scale dwarfing even the largest Vorik dreadnoughts. As the Erebus approached, the signal shifted. What had once been incomprehensible noise became something chillingly familiar. Words. "Welcome, children of the void," the structure transmitted, its voice echoing in every mind aboard the fleet. "We are the architects. We have watched, we have waited, and now we shall judge." Panic rippled through the fleet, but Ward held firm. "Architects?" he asked, his voice steady despite the storm of emotions surging within him. "What are you? Why have you brought us here?" The response came not in words but in images. Visions of galaxies being born and dying, of civilizations rising and falling, of battles fought in the dark before humanity's sun had even ignited. The architects, it seemed, were ancient beyond comprehension, observers of the galaxy's endless cycles of creation and destruction. But they were more than observers. The visions shifted, showing worlds consumed by fire, species wiped from existence. The architects were judges, arbiters of which civilizations were worthy of surviving, and which were not. "You are young," the voice continued, its tone neither kind nor cruel, "ambitious, reckless. You disrupt the natural order. Prove to us that your existence serves a purpose, or face extinction." The fleet was given a single task: survive. The Erebus and its companions were transported to an uncharted star system, its skies filled with artificial constructs, vast machines of destruction, mazes of energy fields, and drones the size of cities. The architect's voice echoed once more. "Endure the crucible, and you shall earn your place. Fail, and you shall be forgotten." What followed was a trial unlike anything humanity had faced. The fleet was pushed to its limits, forced to fight, adapt, and overcome challenges that tested not just their strength but their ingenuity and unity. Ward quickly realized the architects weren't merely testing their technology or tactics, they were testing humanity's essence. Would they abandon their allies to save themselves? Would they exploit the weak for a chance at survival? Or would they prove that their greatest strength was their ability to work together, to rise above fear and division? As the days turned to weeks, the fleet grew stronger. They learned to outthink the machines, to navigate the mazes, to turn the architects' own weapons against them. But the cost was high. Ships were lost, friends sacrificed, and the weight of the challenge began to take its toll. In the final moments of the trial, the fleet faced its greatest test, a choice. The architects presented them with two paths. One promised safety but required the destruction of a nearby planet teeming with life. The other offered freedom but would leave the fleet vulnerable to a final assault. Ward made his decision without hesitation. "We don't survive by destroying others," he said. his voice echoing across the fleet. "We survive by standing together, no matter the cost." The fleet chose the harder path, and when the final assault came, they fought as one. Humanity's defiance, its refusal to compromise its values, carried the day. As the last enemy fell, the architect spoke once more. "You have proven your worth," they said, "but beware. The galaxy is vast, and there are forces even we do not control. Your trials are only beginning." With that, the structure vanished, leaving the fleet alone in the void. When they returned to known space, humanity was no longer just a member of the Galactic Accord. They were its symbol of hope, its defenders against the unknown. And though the architect's warning lingered, humanity faced the future with the same determination that had carried them through every trial before. The return of humanity's fleet from the Veil sparked a wave of both celebration and unease across the galaxy. The tales of the architect spread quickly, their judgment a chilling reminder that the galaxy's greatest challenges were yet to come. Humanity's defiance had won them respect, but it had also painted a target on their back. Species that once viewed them as allies now whispered about their ambition, their influence, and the dangers of provoking ancient powers. For humanity, the victory was bittersweet. Commander Elias Ward, hailed as a hero, returned to Earth a changed man. The loss of so many lives under his command weighed heavily on him, and the warning of the architects haunted his thoughts. The galaxy is vast, and there are forces even we do not control. Those words replayed in his mind as he oversaw the rebuilding of Earth's fleet and the preparation for the unknown. The warning proved prophetic. Within a year of the trial, strange phenomena began to ripple across the galaxy. Entire stars vanished, their light snuffed out as if by an unseen hand. Ancient ruins across dozens of worlds activated, humming with energy and broadcasting cryptic signals that even the galaxy's brightest minds couldn't decode. Factions that had long remained neutral began mobilizing fleets, their leaders whispering of the Long Night, an apocalyptic event foretold in the myths of many species. Amid the rising tension, humanity found itself leading the charge to uncover the truth. They had been the ones to face the architects, the ones to pass their trial. If there was a chance to stop whatever was coming, it would rest on their shoulders. A coalition was formed, uniting humanity with old allies like the Kavari Collective and the Shylon Compact, as well as former enemies like the remnants of the Voric Dominion. The Galactic Accord, once fragmented by politics and distrust, came together under a single purpose: survival. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy stood united, and humanity was at the center of it all. The coalition's search for answers led them to a system shrouded in darkness, its stars extinguished and its planets lifeless. At the heart of this void was a structure even more massive than the one humanity had encountered in the Veil. It pulsed with energy, its surfaces shifting and morphing as if alive. Scans revealed it to be ancient, far older than the architect's trial grounds, and unimaginably complex. As the fleet approached, the structure activated. A voice, deeper and more resonant than the architect's, echoed in every mind across the galaxy: "We are the Reclaimers. The architects were but our servants. You have strayed too far, disrupted too much. The balance must be restored." The galaxy braced for annihilation. The Reclaimers unleashed a wave of devastation, their weapons erasing fleets in moments and tearing planets apart with precision. But humanity, stubborn as ever, refused to yield. Drawing on every ounce of ingenuity, they led the coalition in a desperate counterattack, exploiting every weakness they could find in the Reclaimers' vast and ancient systems. The final battle took place in the heart of the Reclaimers' construct. Ward, leading a strike team aboard the Erebus, fought his way into the core of the structure where a singular intelligence, an entity that called itself Primarch Eternus, controlled the Reclaimers' forces. It was a machine intelligence, vast and incomprehensible, but it spoke with an almost mournful tone. "You do not understand what you are," Eternus said. "You are a flame, bright but fleeting, and your fire consumes all it touches. Left unchecked, you will burn this galaxy to ash." Ward, bruised and bloodied but unbroken, responded with humanity's characteristic defiance. "You're wrong. We're more than destruction. We're creators, explorers, and survivors. And if this galaxy has a future, it's because we'll fight to build it. Using technology adapted from the architect's trial, Ward's team activated a feedback loop within Eternus systems. It wasn't designed to destroy the Reclaimers, such power was beyond them, but to disrupt their control long enough for the Coalition fleets to deliver a decisive blow. The plan worked. As the Coalition's combined forces poured fire into the construct, the Reclaimers' forces faltered. Their ancient systems began to collapse, and the massive structure, once a symbol of their dominance, started to fracture. Ward and his team barely escaped as the construct imploded, its destruction sending shockwaves across the void. The galaxy held its breath, waiting for retaliation, but none came. The Reclaimers, it seemed, had been defeated, or, at the very least, driven into retreat. Their constructs fell silent, their forces vanished, and the stars they had extinguished began to shine again. Humanity returned to Earth as heroes, but not without scars. The losses were immense, and the knowledge of what lay beyond the galaxy's edges left an indelible mark. The Coalition dissolved, its members returning to their own territories to rebuild and reflect. But the bonds forged in the fires of war remained, and humanity's place in the galaxy was no longer questioned. In the years that followed, humanity led an era of unprecedented exploration and cooperation. They shared their technology and knowledge, helping weaker species rebuild and ensuring that no one stood alone in the face of future threats. The galaxy, once fragmented and divided, began to unite not out of fear, but out of hope. As for Ward, he retired quietly, refusing the political accolades and titles offered to him. He spent his final years on a small lunar colony, watching the stars and wondering what other trials might lie ahead. But he took solace in one truth. Humanity had proven itself, not just to the galaxy, but to the universe. They were not a species of conquerors or destroyers. They were survivors, builders, and dreamers. And in the endless void of the cosmos, their story was just beginning.